Hello and welcome back. I am so glad that you are joining me as I go through the story of Esther. Today we are on chapter 2. So let's not delay and jump right in. Today we're going to talk about how Esther is made queen. Later, when the anger of King Xerxes had subsided, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what he had decreed about her. Then the king's personal attendants proposed, "Let us search for a new beautiful young maiden for the king. Let the king appoint commissioners in every province of the realm to bring all these beautiful girls into the harem at the citadel of Susa. Let them be placed under the care of Haggai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women, and let beauty treatments be given to them. Then let the girl who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti." This advice appealed to the king, and he followed it. Now, there in the citadel of Susa, a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin, named Mordecai, son of Yair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, who had been carried into exile from Jerusalem to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, among those captive from Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, whom he had brought up because she had neither father nor mother. This girl, who was also known as Esther, was lovely in form and features, and Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. So Esther, also known as Hadassah, she's known as Hadassah as that is her Jewish name that was given to her. But later, Mordecai tells her that she should call herself Esther because it does not sound Jewish. And we'll reveal why that's important in a little bit later in the chapter. But for now, know that Hadassah is also Queen Esther. It's the same person. And she's pretty much an orphan, so her cousin is raising her. Let's go on. When the king's order and edict had been proclaimed, many girls were brought to the citadel of Susa and put under the care of Haggai. Esther was also taken to the king's palace and entrusted to Haggai, who was in charge of the harem. The girl pleased him and won his favor. Immediately, he provided her with beauty treatments and special food. He assigned to her 7 maidens selected from the king's palace and moved her and her maidens to the best place in the harem. So we see God is already providing favor over Esther. And I think that's important for us to understand. God has this beautiful gift of favor for each one of us because we are his people. We love him and he loves us. So keep that in mind when you're ever wondering if maybe there's a special thing that you want to accomplish in your life, and ask for God's favor in it. Let's continue. Esther had not revealed her nationality and family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. Every day he walked back and forth near the courtyard of the harem to find out how Esther was and what was happening to her. Sounds like he was concerned for her, of course. Before the girls came in to go to King Xerxes, she had to complete 12 months of beauty treatment prescribed for the women. 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 with perfumes and cosmetics. And this is how she would go to the king. Anything she wanted was given for her to take with her to the harem, to the king's palace. In the evening, she would go there, and in the morning, return with another part of the harem to the care of Shashgaz. That's a tough one to say. Shashgaz. Shashgaz? You can kind of figure that one out for yourself. It's an interesting one to say. Anyways, this was one of the king's eunuchs who was in charge of the concubines. He would not return to the king unless he was pleased with her and summoned by her by name. So they would go in front of the king, all these different parts of what was called a harem. So all these ladies who were going to be seen by him. And he would decide if he wanted them to come back another day. So he had to know them by name at that point. All right. When the turn came for Esther, the girl Mordecai had adopted, the daughter of his uncle Abihail, to the king, she asked for nothing other than what Haggai, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of her, had suggested. So because Esther had favor in the eyes of Haggai. Haggai suggested specific things for Esther to bring. So he knew what the king liked, and so he would suggest that for Esther to bring. And Esther won the favor of everyone who saw her. She was taken to King Xerxes in the royal residence in the 12th month, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Now the king was attracted to Esther more than any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than any of the other girls. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. And the king gave a royal banquet, Esther's banquet, for all his nobles and officials. He proclaimed a holiday throughout the provinces and distributed gifts with royal liberality. So he threw a banquet in her name when he chose her to be the queen. When the women were assembled a second time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. But Esther had kept her family's secret and nationality because as Mordecai had told her to do so, for she continued to follow Mordecai's instructions as she had done when she was being brought up by him. So she was still loyal to Mordecai, even in this kind of difficult situation where she was apart from him. During the time Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, became angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. But Mordecai found out about the plot and told Queen Esther, who in turn reported it to the king, giving credit to Mordecai. And when the report was investigated and found to be true, the two officials were hanged on the gallows. All this was recorded in the book of Annals in the presence of the king. So that's an important piece to remember. It's a really small section in the second chapter of Esther, but it tells us that Mordecai does want to protect the king, and he has Esther bring this information and give him credit. So because of this, you're going to see a little turn of events later, but it's important to remember that little key piece. All right, so that's it for the second chapter of Esther. What is God speaking to you about? What do you think about the story? You can write it in the comments or email me, or maybe just ponder and write it down yourself to think about later. It's important to note that Esther is a woman of character, and we get to see her develop over the story. And that's something that God puts in each one of us, is he wants us to understand we are going to develop in our character. We get to choose who we become. That's what character is. It's choosing who you're going to be, especially when no one's looking. That's important to remember. All right, have a blessed day.